Good morning everyone, it's Yvonne here from the Aussie Goddess. Today is Thursday the 4th of April. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. For the people who always comment on the cat mug, I have it with me this morning with my cup of tea. I am feeling much better, thank you. A couple of days on antibiotics and Ventolin and I feel a little bit more myself. Okay, so we're going to use the Hanson Roberts deck for this reading. I do want to just keep reminding you that I have a Facebook Live on the 28th of April. So if you're on my Facebook page, the Aussie Goddess, I'll be doing that 9 AM Australian time. And I'm only limiting to about an hour. And I'll just do some card pulls for people and just sort of get a general feel for what that's like before I start going live on YouTube. So very excited about that. Alrighty. Okay, so the card we have out the front here is the card of the World. Now, the World talks about lots of things in a reading, really, but its main theme is the end of a cycle. So you might have been doing some cycling somewhere in your life and you're just coming to the end of this, which is a really nice energy. So you get to have a brand new start. So what this means is that you've been around something and you've actually learned the lesson. You are no longer cycling something. So that's very nice. So this is to do with the past. Could be, you know, a habit you formed when you were a child or a habit you formed growing up. Sometimes this can be to do with karma too, and carrying karma through with you from childhood or from before childhood. But whatever it is, you're closing it out. Some people relationship cycle, so you could have been sort of finding that you're in the same sort of relationships all the time and you look like you've broken that cycle now, because the card behind that is the Star. This is absolutely beautiful. So through all out of this, you've worked really hard on this and you've come to some sort of ending here. So it's very, very nice. I still want to have a peek at the card behind that. Yeah, so you're walking away from situations that no longer serve you. This is absolutely beautiful seeing this morning. I know a lot of people have been working on these sort of cycles that have been developed, a lot of them around ego, and that is to do with your childhood. But you're definitely healing and you're definitely walking away from things that no longer serve you. Very nice. Okay, so first card we have out is the card of the past. This is the Five of Cups. So this is about remorse and regret and looking back at the past. For some of us, this is, you know, sadness over lost love, sadness over, you know, someone dying. It can be anything really, but it's about not being able to look forward. And I think, you know, there's always healthy grief. We always have to grieve over something, but if it starts to take a really long time and you find that you're living your life with it years later, then you haven't really come to terms with that grief. Okay, so the Hermit's here to shine a light on this, which I think is quite interesting. So maybe this is what it's talking about at the beginning. Maybe this gives us a bit more insight into the mini read, because he's shining the light on the Five of Pentacles here. So you've been trying to understand why it is that you get stuck in past things. Some of us have like trauma bond attachments to people, so it's very difficult to let go of. If you've understood codependent narcissistic relationships, you do get what they call a trauma bond, which is very, very difficult to let go. So you can look at up from a psychological point of view. It's not obviously from a spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, it may be that you realize you have some sort of cord cutting to do. But either way, you're working on that. And look at you go. Coming up as the Empress here. So you really are coming into your own now that you've let go of this energy, which is absolutely beautiful. There's still work to be done though, so you can't just stop here. It's like anything else. You can't just do so much and then expect it to be enough, because when you start to unravel and you start to awaken, people talk about an awakening like it's a one-off process, and it so isn't. For any of you who started the process of awakening, I always talk to people and say it's like peeling back an onion. Every time the spirit thinks you're ready for the next level, they just peel back the next level, which is amazing because you get to work on all the stuff that's been holding you back. and the amount of growth. And I think when I look back at myself, you know, oh boy, if I go back 20 years ago, I barely even know the person I was then. Even if I go back 12 months ago, I am such a much more confident, you know, I'm really aware of myself. I don't put up with things anymore. I have grown such a great extreme, but with that has grown my capacity to love. So I've been able to open my emotions more. I feel more comfortable in expressing myself. So the whole thing is just huge. So the more you get to, the more you get to. Okay, so the Eight of Swords is here. So there's still some fear here. And of course, this is the basis for a lot of the stuff we go through, and why we have that devil energy around quite a lot is because we do fear things as human beings. But that's our ego. If we didn't have an ego, we wouldn't fear a thing. But, you know, this is like trying to tell someone that you're in love with them, you know, and you're fearing doing that because you fear rejection. Whereas if you didn't have fear, you would just go ahead and do it. And if they didn't want you, you'd accept that and just move on. But because we're taught that that's, you know, something wrong with ourselves, it becomes very difficult for us to express. Okay, so we have the Hanged Man here. Now, the Hanged Man talks of taking time out to enlighten yourself, to have a really good look at what's going on here. So you're still working on all of this here. Five of Pentacles. So you may be at a point where this is actually feeling quite tough here, because you've got two fives here. So it's like you're still trying to understand why you're going through this journey. So it's like the universe is pushing you to do this, but you're not really still feeling like you're achieving something. So it's like you're putting in all the effort but not feeling like you're going anywhere. And there's the devil energy. So I know it was here. So some of you still battling the ego and the self. Some of you still going backwards and forwards between the two. I think that you are developing into this Empress though, so I think you need to be the hermit here and keep your light on the goal here, because the whole idea is to let go of your past, the things that have kept you tied, your fears, letting go of all the things that have held you back in the past. So you're still going. Knight of Swords coming up here. So this is lovely because this is about expressing a truth. It could be about finally cutting out the ego here too and moving forward. And we do have the Seven of Rods here. So you're still in a bit of a defensive place here. And it's understandable because you're doing a lot of work here, peeling back this layer that you have learned from a very young age. So you're still going backwards and forwards. This is a very interesting reading. I sort of want to pull more cards, but I'm not going to, because very often the bonus read seems to give us answers beyond this. But what I want to say to you is you've been doing good work. You're nearing the end of a cycle. You're about to close out something and never do it again. Something that was fear-based and has been holding you back. And even though you're having trouble with it, there's an answer here. So keep going. I can't give you the answer because the answer is different for every one of you. So just go with it. Okay, so the card we have out is the Ringmaster of Scrutiny. And it's about discernment, clear vision, and details. Okay, it's number 9, and we like number 9. Okay, so it says the Ringmaster of Scrutiny is all about the details. We've read this a few times in the last few days, so really quite interesting. Look closely and pay attention to the smallest elements of what's being presented to you on your path. It's in these details, not the broad strokes. Okay, so what they're saying here, which is very much in line with this reading, is that what's happening is you're looking at the end goal, which is, you know, being able to get past this energy that you've been working towards. But what they're saying is what you're learning along the way is just as important. So don't forget, every time you take steps, every time you move a little, every time you have that realization, that in itself is a lesson. So don't forget about the small things you're learning on your way to this awakening or this awareness of self. So bit of a deep reading for the What's Cracking folks. Have a fantastic Thursday.